We begin this morning with President Trump signing a short-term spending bill to end the partial government shutdown. This after competing measures to reopen the government both fell short in the Senate. My first guest this morning is one of 6 GOP senators who voted for the Democratic plan without wall funding. Joining me right now in an exclusive interview is Republican Senator from Tennessee, Lamar Alexander. He sits on the Senate Appropriations Committee and serves as chairman of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. Sir, it's good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
So why did you vote for this bill that did not include border security, sir?
I wanted the government to be open.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have voted 10 times to open the government. We should never, ever close the government down as a bargaining chip in a budget negotiation, whether it's border security or Planned Parenthood or military funding or anything else. It ought to be the chemical weapons of real warfare. It ought to be off limits.
Yeah, it's a fair point, sir. So let's talk about the next 3 weeks and what it looks like. You've got another now deadline, February 15th. Are we going to see money for the border wall?
Well, we should. And you know, here's something that's overlooked. The last 4 presidents, Obama, Clinton, Bush, working with Congress, built 654 miles of physical barrier, that's wall, along our 2,000-mile southern border. That's
right
before President Trump.
And so we're looking, sir, we're looking right now at a graphic, the wall in Nancy Pelosi's state. This is the wall separating Tijuana from San Diego. And this is the wall that has been there and she voted for and knows it's in her own state, and yet she says any more wall is immoral.
Yeah, we need to get it out of the Speaker's hands and the public debate and into the hands of members of Congress who have for 20 years known that a comprehensive border security plan includes more personnel, more technology, and more physical barrier. President Trump's asking for about 234 more miles of physical barrier as part of a comprehensive plan. That would not build a wall from shining sea to shining sea, as he said. It would simply do what we've been doing for 20 years. So I'm optimistic that the committee, which just last summer in the Senate approved another $1.6 billion for 65 miles of physical barrier, will be able to come up with a compromise.
Well, you are on the Appropriations Committee, sir. What would be the appropriate number to actually come up with the money for a border wall? And we know that on the left, many of your colleagues just want to resist this president. Is that what Nancy Pelosi is doing, given the fact that we know in the past she has voted for border fencing, barriers like the one in her own state we just looked at?
Well, that's why we need to get it out of this no-wall fight between the Speaker and the President into the hands of members of Congress who for 20 years have been saying we need more physical barrier, we need more technology, we need more custom agents, we need more border agents. We can do that just as we did for President Obama, Clinton, Bush, and come up with a reasonable number for all of those things as part of a comprehensive border security. Remember, even if all of the physical barrier wall that President Trump asked for were approved, we'd still have about 1,000 miles of the southern border that would not have any sort of wall on it, and he would not have asked for any sort of wall on it. So this is a very reasonable request by the president. He's done what they asked him to do, which is to cooperate in opening the government. It's now time for them to be reasonable and do again what they've done for 20 years working with other presidents.
So how can you do that? Can you actually get it out of the Speaker's hands and this fight between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump, get it firmly in Congress's hands and have practical solutions? Do you think that's possible?
Actually, that's where it is now, and that's what we suggested 3 weeks ago. So we have a conference committee. It includes senators and House members. They're already structured. They're ready to meet. They're the ones that have in the past approved, as recently as last year in the Senate, more technology, more personnel, more physical barrier. And so it'll be their job then to recommend to the House and the Senate and the President what a solution is. And they'd be smart not to recommend something the President couldn't sign, because under the Constitution, if you want a law, the President has to sign it. So they'll be checking with him, and I'm sure checking with the leaders of the Senate and the House along the way. But it won't be this highly publicized stuff where the President comes out and says wall, and Nancy comes out of her office in 5 minutes and says no wall.
Right.
That's not the way you get a result.
That's right. But you said, you know, let's get it out of that fight and into Congress's hands so that something can be done about it. Do you feel that you and your colleagues will have the power to do that? Because we know that many of the incoming Democrat freshmen congressmen actually are moderate, and they want to get things done. They signed a letter, sent it to leadership, saying, we don't want all of this bluster about investigations. We want to get things done for the American people. Will they have the influence? Will you have the influence in order to get this done, get it out of the fighting words, and actually toward border security, including a fencing?
Well, we'll see. But most of us learn after we're here a few weeks that it doesn't take much courage or skill to take a position. You can stay home and do that. It does take some courage and some skill to get a result, and that's what the members of this conference committee will be trying to do, to get comprehensive border security on the southern border, and where appropriate, more technology, more personnel, and more physical barrier, meaning wall.
Well, being on the Appropriations Committee, can you share with us the priorities? What would it cost? What is a practical number? The president is asking for $5.7 billion. The Democrats will push back. What do you think is realistic in terms of the next 3 weeks of negotiation?
Well, I can give you the number that was approved by the Senate. Last year was $5.7 billion, $1.6 billion for new physical barrier or 65 miles of wall. Now, the president's in the middle of the year said, well, we've got a problem on the border that I didn't anticipate. We need another $7 billion. He's asked for $4.1 billion for a physical barrier of that. That's what the Congress will consider. That's what the conference will talk about. And the Republicans will support what the president asked for. The Democrats will say, well, I'm skeptical of that, but there's some other things I'd like to see in the immigration policy. You put the two things together and get a result. That's what we normally do. That's what we did with Presidents Obama, Clinton, Bush, and Bush. That's what we should do with President Trump.
Now, you make a lot of good points, sir. Let me ask you this. Let's say in the next 3 weeks, Nancy Pelosi digs in and says, absolutely no more than $1 for any wall or fencing. Will the government close down again?
The government should never close down.
So what are you going to do?
I would hope that the Speaker, well, I always vote to open the government, period. But I hope the Speaker would do, she's taken her position, the President's taken his. Now step back and let the Congress come up with a result and allow it to happen. I mean, if we can't do it on this, we can't do it on anything. And typically we do this. I've worked on a great many issues, like fixing No Child Left Behind, where President Obama said there are 3 things I want in the bill or I won't sign it. I said, okay, Mr. President, I read the Constitution. They'll be in there. But give me some time to work out a bill that Republicans can support with a lot of things that we like that you probably don't like. And so we were able to do that. That's what we do. And the Speaker should step back, and the President should too, actually. Give us these 3 weeks to try to get a result. I think we can.
Senator, it's good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
We appreciate your time this morning, Senator Lamar Alexander.